Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about error analysis today. This is very important for your entry document for the week, and also it is incredibly important for your I-STEP. This is a skill that is difficult at first, but after you do it a few times, you get very easy at it. This will be a two-part series. You'll need to watch 2 videos, I believe, maybe 1, we'll see. Depends how long this one goes. Okay, it will take a little while. I want you to watch this video very closely. Fill out your paper as we go. Okay, first off, okay, it says a student's steps to evaluating an expression are shown. If you look very closely right here in this underlined location, it says the correct solution. That means you need to find the correct solution. Also down here, you need to describe all the errors that the student made. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and start by actually doing the problem. So we're going to look at this problem. This is a problem that you guys actually did yesterday. So once again, should be pretty easy. Okay, we're going to start with the beginning. We're going to simply put this same information right over here. We're going to rewrite it. Okay, we have 14 divided by 7 to the third power plus 8 times a half minus 2 times 1 times 3. Okay. Now, we're going to have to be very careful because a couple things are going to happen here that aren't normal, and I just need you to understand a few things. When you see some student work, sometimes they skip some steps. Now, that doesn't mean they necessarily did it incorrectly, but sometimes they don't show them all, and that's where we have to be very careful. We don't want to do that, but sometimes other people do. So here we go. First thing we should do, 14 divided by 7, because it's in parentheses, that gives us 2. Parentheses are gone. 2 to the cubed plus 8 times 1/2 minus 2 times 1 times 3. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue. We have a parentheses over here. If we look at this one really closely, we're going to say 2 cubed plus 8 times 1/2 minus 2 times 3. Okay, we're going to continue. 2 cubed plus 8 times 1/2 minus 6. From then on, we're going to go ahead and do multiplying 8 times, oh, sorry, I scratched that, messed up. 2 cubed is 8 plus 8 times 1/2 minus 6. Next thing I need to do, go ahead and 8 times 1/2, that's 8 plus 4 minus 6, which gives us 12 minus 6, and our final answer is 6. Now that's very important. Notice it took me a whole lot of room, okay? But I did use my cyclone method, and I showed a lot of steps. Now, I'm going to use this information. I should have made it a little bit smaller, but I'll have to erase a few things in a second. What I want to show you is, okay, we need to describe all our errors, but we also need to circle the errors. So we need to circle the student's errors, and that's really, really important. And it's also really important where you circle. You have to be very careful. Okay? So here we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that we want to do is we want to look at step 1 for both of us. So if we look at step 1 for both of us, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this here. It looks like they did 2/3 plus 8 times 1/2 minus 6. If you look really closely, what they did both parentheses at the same time. They shouldn't have done that, but if you look, okay, and you go down just a little bit, you'll see down here that that's the same exact thing. They did the same exact thing. So they really didn't make any errors so far. So we're good there. So we're going to go ahead and erase that. I'm going to go back a little bit here. Let's work on step 2. We're going to go look at step 2 now. So step 2 is going to be under where we just were at, which should be here. So let's see. They did 2 cubed, and they got, if you look very closely, they got 6. We got 8. Okay. 8 plus 8 times 1/2 minus 6. It looks like there's an error. Okay. Now, so we notice they made an error, but we have to be very close. Be very, very careful, because they didn't make the error in step 2. The actual place that we should be circling this error is 2/3, because that's what they messed up. Okay, 6 is their answer, but they messed up 2 cubed. Okay, 2 to the third power. So we need to go ahead and circle that error. Okay, I'm going to put a box around it because it's easier and big for you to see. Okay, now, does that mean that that's the only error? No, not necessarily. So now we need to be careful. Now we found out the first error, right? But since we found the first error, now we need to look at only their work. That's really important. Ooh, let's go back. Okay, let's go back. What happened? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What in the world? There we go. Got it back. Sorry, guys. Whew. Okay, let's go back. So now we look right here. Now we have to be very careful because we only need to look at their stuff now because ours, we already found out one error. But now we need to see if they made any more errors based on what they did. So even if 2 cubed was 6, which it's not, okay, we need to follow the order of operations afterwards. So if you had 6 plus 8 times a half minus 6, the next thing that they should do is 8 times a half. But they didn't do that. They didn't do 8 times a half. If you look very closely, they got 14. How did they do that? Well, they added 6 plus 8. That's another error. So 6 plus 8. They should not have done 6 plus 8 yet. They actually should have done 8 times 1/2. Okay? Now, once again, we make sure they haven't made any other errors following their stuff. So we're looking at step 3. 14 times a half minus 6, we would do 14 times a half because multiplying comes before subtraction. That gives us 7. 7 minus 6 gives us 1. So everything else is correct that they did, but they did make 2 errors. Okay, both of those errors I have circled in green. Now, my next step is to go ahead and actually describe those errors. This is where it gets tricky. Okay, this is where it gets very tricky. You guys have to be very careful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give myself some room, so I'm going to erase some of this out of the way because I'm going to have to write in there. Okay, and I'm just going to write that this equals 6 because I know the answer now. Okay, now, never erase it. Never erase it on your iStep, but for here, because you know what I'm doing, you can see it. Here we go. First thing, okay, if you look at this, it says in step 1. Okay, that's what I'm going to start with. I got to make sure I use all my errors. My goal is to use at least 5 vocab words. Now, those vocab words I'm going to get from the word bank below. Okay, you should be able to create these. All of the words are the same, basically, for all error analysis that have to do with order of operations. So you just need to remember these words. They're pretty easy. Okay, let's start. In step 1, he, or the student, it could be she. In step 1, he should have multiplied the exponent two cubed as 2 times 2 times 2 to get 8. Or actually, I want to use a vocabulary word, so to get a product of 8. When you multiply two things together, you get a product. That's the answer to a multiplication problem. Okay? Okay, in step 1, he should have multiplied the exponent 2 cubed as 2 times 2 times 2 to get a product of 8. He multiplied two times 3 to get 6. Okay? He also added 6 plus 8 in step 2 before multiplying. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and press period, or put a period there. Now, I want you guys to be very careful, and I want you to watch a few things. Okay, now that I went ahead and wrote that, couple things. Number 1, your job when you guys do this is to fill all of these lines. Okay, all of them, the whole way. Anything you go over on the iStep, they won't count it. So you only want to fill those lines. Next, okay, we want to make sure that we have the correct number of vocabulary words. So let's look at them. In step 1, he should have multiplied. Multiplied, same thing as multiplied on the bottom. The exponent. That's 2. 2 cubed as 2 times 2 to get a product. Product is another one of 8. Okay? He multiplied 2 times 3. Good. To get 6. He also added 6 plus 8 in step 2 before multiplying. Okay? So if you look at that, I have 3, 4, 5, I have 6 total words. I could have done a little bit better. I have 6. Next time, I want to do slightly better. Okay? So just letting you know, this one right here is our first example. Got it right now. Okay? On your notes page, you want to go ahead and try the second one. Try the second one before you watch the second video. I want you to try it the best you can. Okay? Then you're going to watch the second video.